Why do women become addicted to some men while feeling absolutely nothing for others? Why do they chase certain guys with obsession, texting nonstop, fighting for their attention, while ignoring men who seem perfect on paper? If you've ever felt invisible, if you've ever wondered why women don't respond to your achievements, this video will shatter everything you thought you knew about attraction. Because here's the shocking truth. Women don't get addicted to your looks, your money, or your resume. They get addicted to something far deeper, your internal state, your presence, your energy, and once you understand this, you'll never see relationships the same way again. Stay with me until the end, because I'm not just giving you dating tips, I'm handing you a new lens to see yourself, women, and attraction itself. This isn't about cheap tricks or manipulation. This is about unlocking the hidden psychology that makes women crave certain men at a level they can control. And let me tell you something important. If this message resonates with you, if you've ever felt the frustration of doing everything right and still not being desired, then you're exactly where you need to be. So, before we dive in, I want you to do two things. Hit that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Not for me, but for you. Because if you're ready to hear this, it means you're ready to step into the next level of your life. The truth is, attraction doesn't work the way you think. What society taught you is a lie. And in the next few minutes, you're going to discover why. Let's be honest. You've probably been told the same story over and over. Work on yourself, hit the gym, make more money, dress better, upgrade your lifestyle, and you did it. Maybe you built your body, maybe you leveled up your career, maybe you bought the car, the clothes, the watch. On paper, you've checked every single box, and yet, when you show up with women, something feels missing. They're polite, yes, they'll even go on a date, but that spark, that fire, that obsession where they can't stop thinking about you, it's not there, and you end up asking yourself, what am I doing wrong? Why am I always the one chasing while they stay distant? Meanwhile, you see another guy, someone with no status, no fancy lifestyle, no achievements, and women are completely hooked on him. They can't stop texting him, they compete for his attention, and they'll do whatever it takes just to be around him. It feels unfair, doesn't it? Almost like women are living by a secret rulebook no one told you about. A rulebook that explains why your effort doesn't equal their desire. But here's the good news. Once you learn that rulebook, once you understand what actually drives female addiction, everything changes. So I want you to pay close attention, because the truth I am about to share with you will feel uncomfortable at first. It will challenge everything you've been told about attraction. But if you let it sink in, you'll understand why women overlook certain men and become addicted to others. Think about how exhausting it feels to always be the one putting in the effort. You plan the dates, you send the texts, you chase the conversations, yet deep down you sense she's not truly invested. She's there, but not there. And that emptiness cuts deeper than rejection. Because rejection is clear, but indifference makes you question your worth. I want you to know something. If you've felt this, you are not broken. You are not unworthy. You've simply been taught the wrong formula. Society convinced you that women fall in love with achievements, your muscles, your money, your social status. But here's the reality. Women don't fall for your resume. They fall for your energy. That guy who seems to have nothing yet has women obsessed. He isn't playing by society's rules. He's tapped into something far more powerful, something you already have within you, but maybe haven't learned to access. And that's why today's message matters. Because once you shift from chasing external validation to radiating internal strength, everything changes. You stop needing her attention, and suddenly she can't stop thinking about you. You stop chasing, and she starts investing. You stop begging for scraps of interest, and she starts competing for your time. And before we go deeper, let me remind you, if this truth is already hitting home, do not just watch silently. Hit that subscribe button right now and drop a comment below. Tell me if you've ever felt the frustration of being good enough on paper, but invisible in reality. Your voice matters here, and by sharing, you'll realize you're not alone. Now, let S pull back the curtain on the hidden mechanism that explains everything. Why women get addicted to some men and not others. Before we can talk about how women get addicted, we need to destroy the biggest myth about attraction. Society has been selling you a checklist. If you work out, make money, build status, learn game, and demonstrate your worth, then women will naturally desire you. Sounds logical, right? Except, it doesn't work. That's why so many men spend years chasing this formula, only to end up frustrated, bitter, and confused. They've built themselves up externally, but women remain emotionally distant. Why? Because attraction doesn't operate like a resume. It isn't a list of bullet points you can check off. Here's the truth. Women don't fall in love with your achievements. They fall in love with your internal state. They don't get addicted to what you have. They get addicted to who you are when nobody's watching. And this is where most men get it wrong. They keep upgrading their external life, but neglect the one thing that actually matters: their energy, their presence, their frame. And that's why, even after hitting milestones, they still feel invisible. So let me introduce you to the hidden mechanism that explains everything: sexual market value discrepancy. This is the invisible scale that women use to categorize men. It's not about money or muscles. It's about perception. And perception is controlled by your internal state. Understanding this concept is like holding the master key. Once you see it, you'll understand why some men appear magnetic without trying, while others struggle no matter how much they achieve. And in the next section, I'll show you exactly how it works. Imagine this. You're standing in a crowded bar with 10 people, 4 men and 6 women. One of the men is a millionaire. He's got the perfect body, designer clothes, the kind of lifestyle most men dream of. Across the room is another man. He's broke. He drives an old car, wears basic clothes, and lives in a tiny apartment. Now, someone makes a comment, and without hesitation, the broke guy delivers a perfectly timed, witty response. He doesn't force it. He doesn't try to be funny. He says it with pure confidence and authenticity. In that exact moment, every woman in the group feels a spark of attraction, not toward the millionaire, but toward the man with nothing material to his name. Why? Because he just demonstrated higher perceived value through his internal state. This is what most men never understand. Sexual market value isn't about inventory, it's about energy. It's not what you carry in your wallet, it's how you carry yourself. When a woman meets you, she isn't calculating your net worth. She isn't counting your muscles. She's reading your energy signature. Unconsciously, she's asking, does this man know his worth? Is he seeking my approval? Does he need me to validate him? Is he comfortable in his own skin? And within seconds, she has already categorized you as either above me or below me. If you're above, the addiction process begins. If you're below, no matter how impressive your achievements are, she'll lose interest. Here's the cruel irony. The harder you try to prove yourself, the lower you place yourself in her eyes. The man who doesn't need to impress anyone automatically radiates higher value, and that's where her obsession begins. One of the most powerful triggers for female addiction is something called pre-selection, the perception that other women desire you. Now, most men misunderstand this completely. They think it means openly flirting with other women in front of their target, bragging about their dating life, or exaggerating their social circle. But that's amateur hour, and it backfires. Why? Because it shows you're trying too hard. Real pre-selection is subtle, silent, and authentic. It's the energy of a man who has options, but doesn't chase them. He's calm. He's relaxed. He's not desperate. When a woman senses that other women are drawn to you, she doesn't just feel curiosity. She feels competition. She begins to wonder, what do they see in him that I don't? What is he giving them that I don't have? This curiosity is the first stage of addiction. It lights up her brain because humans are wired to want what others value. But here's the key. You can't fake it. Women are biologically designed to detect authenticity. They sense incongruence immediately. If you pretend to have options while secretly craving her validation, she'll feel it in her bones, and the spell is broken. This is why men with authentic confidence never need to show off. Their energy speaks for them. Pre-selection isn't about making her jealous. It's about radiating abundance, the kind of abundance that says, I could, but I don't need to. And when a woman feels that, she leans in closer, desperate to find out why you're different. This brings us to one of the most crucial differences in attraction: internal value versus external value. Most men spend their entire lives building external value: money, cars, muscles, achievements, believing these will unlock love and desire. But they forget the truth. External value without internal confidence is fragile, conditional, and often invisible. You can give a man $5 million celebrity status and model-level looks, but if he's insecure inside, he'll still be unattractive to women. Meanwhile, a man with ordinary circumstances but bulletproof self-belief will have women competing for his attention. Because here's the reality: women don't fall in love with what you own. They fall in love with how you make them feel. They get addicted not to your achievements, but to your energy. That's why self-validation is everything. When you're constantly seeking her approval, her compliments, or her attention, you fall into what I call the validation death spiral. You signal that you don't trust your own worth. And if you don't believe in your worth, why should she? The men who create female obsession flip this dynamic. They're self-validated. They know who they are, with or without her, and that's magnetic. If this is hitting home right now, stop scrolling silently. Hit that subscribe button and comment below. Share if you've ever felt trapped in that spiral of seeking approval. Not because I want the numbers, but because you deserve to break free. And speaking it aloud is the first step. Another overlooked truth is the power of presence. Most men don't realize how rare it is to be fully present in the moment. They're either stuck in the past, haunted by failures, regrets, comparisons, or trapped in the future, overthinking strategies, outcomes, and what-ifs. So when they sit across from a woman, their mind isn't with her. It's racing with questions. What do I say next? Am I doing this right? Does she like me? And she feels that disconnection instantly. But a man who can slow down, breathe, and be fully present, that man is intoxicating. When you listen deeply, when you hold eye contact without fear, when you're comfortable with silence, she feels something she rarely experiences. She feels seen. This presence communicates strength. It shows that you're not anxious about impressing her. You're not desperate for approval. You're simply comfortable in your own skin. And that comfort is contagious. It makes her feel safe. It makes her feel valued. And ironically, it makes her crave more, because in a world of constant distraction, the man who can truly be present is rarer than diamonds. Presence is power. It's one of the fastest ways to create emotional addiction, and yet it costs nothing. All it requires is you, fully, authentically you. Now here's a mind-bending truth. Most of the goals, desires, and insecurities you chase aren't even yours. They were programmed into you by society, by media, by cultural conditioning. Why do you want a six-pack? Why do you want that luxury car? Why do you want that high-status career? If you dig deep, you'll see it's because you were told these things would make you attractive, successful, and worthy. But here's the catch. They rarely do. The men who truly captivate women are the ones who break free from this illusion. They live according to their own values, not society's script. They pursue what lights them up, not what looks good on Instagram. And that authenticity is magnetic. Most men believe they want money or status, but what they actually want is confidence. They think abs will give them confidence, money will give them confidence, success will give them confidence. But external achievements only provide conditional confidence. Confidence that vanishes the moment those achievements are threatened. Real confidence is built on self-acceptance, not self-improvement. It's saying, I am enough as I am. And ironically, when you accept yourself fully, growth becomes easier, because you're no longer driven by insecurity. This kind of authenticity is rare. And when a woman senses it, she doesn't just feel attraction, she feels addiction. Here's a controversial truth. When sex is your ultimate goal with women, you hand them all the power. Think about it. If your happiness, self-worth, and identity depend on whether she sleeps with you, you've just made her the gatekeeper of your emotional state. Women sense this desperation instantly. They know when you're driven by the hunger for validation through sex. And the moment they see it, you lose power. They can use the promise of sex to manipulate your behavior, or withdraw it to punish you. But here's where it flips. When sex is not your primary goal, when you genuinely prioritize connection, conversation, and shared energy, you keep your power. You're no longer chasing. You're choosing. And paradoxically, this makes women want you more. Because now, sex isn't leverage. It's a natural byproduct of the connection you've built. Sometimes, the most attractive thing you can do is actually say no. When you decline an opportunity because you don't feel the vibe or because you want a deeper bond first, you communicate abundance. You're showing that you're not desperate, you're not controlled by physical urges, and you're not easily manipulated. That level of restraint is rare, and it makes women lean in harder, desperate to win your approval. Not because you asked for it, but because you withheld it. At the heart of male attractiveness lies something ancient and often misunderstood: stoicism. And no, I don't mean being cold, robotic, or emotionless. True stoicism is about being centered. It's about remaining calm, grounded, and unshaken no matter what storm is swirling around you. Imagine this. She tests you with sarcasm. She pulls back her attention. She challenges your words. Most men panic in these moments. They become reactive, angry, defensive, or desperate for reassurance. And with every reaction, they reveal insecurity. But the man who stays composed, who doesn't flinch or beg, communicates an unshakable truth. I am solid. I am stable. I am not moved by chaos. That's magnetic. Women crave this emotional stability because it makes them feel safe. It allows them to relax into their feminine energy while you embody strength and direction. This is why presence and stoicism go hand in hand. When you're grounded, you can fully enjoy her company without trying to control the outcome. You're not worrying about what comes next. You're savoring what exists now. That authentic calm creates addiction, because it's so rare in a world full of anxious, validation-seeking men. In her eyes, you become the rock in the storm, and she can't help but cling to it. Now let's zoom out and look at attraction from a deeper lens. Men by nature are visual. We're drawn to what we see. Women, however, are emotional. They're drawn to what they feel. That's why a woman can be obsessed with a man who isn't particularly handsome, while remaining indifferent to a man with movie star looks. Her mind isn't calculating symmetry. It's asking, how do I feel when I'm with him? That's why women devour romance novels, stories full of emotions, words, and dynamics. Because attraction isn't about the surface, it's about the experience. Here's the paradox. When you stop focusing on your appearance and start focusing on the emotional field you create, you unlock the deepest level of desire. It is no longer about how you look. It is about how you make her feel about herself in your presence. And listen, if this message resonates, if you feel like you are starting to see the code behind attraction, pause for a second. Subscribe right now and comment below. Tell me if you've ever noticed this truth in your own life. Not for me, but for you. Because by declaring it, you begin to embody it. Remember, addiction doesn't start in her eyes. It starts in her emotions. And you're about to see why mastering your inner world is the ultimate secret. The men who captivate women most deeply are the ones who radiate groundedness. Grounded men aren't seeking something outside themselves to feel complete. They're not anxious, restless, or reactive. They're comfortable in their own skin, comfortable with their life, comfortable with who they are. And here's the secret. That comfort becomes a magnet. Women are drawn to groundedness because it creates safety, stability, and trust. In a world where most men are desperately chasing, a grounded man feels like an oasis. Groundedness also protects you from the traps that destroy attraction: neediness, validation seeking, emotional volatility, and outcome dependence. When you're grounded, you're not blown around by every test, every silence, every shift in her behavior. You remain steady, and that steadiness makes her lean closer. The ultimate form of attraction isn't fireworks, it's gravity. And grounded men create that gravity without effort. Women don't just want to be around them, they need to be around them. This is why internal peace is everything. Because when you're truly at peace with yourself, you no longer chase validation, you radiate it. So, how do you reach that level of internal peace? It starts with shifting your motivation. Most men improve themselves out of self-rejection. They think, if I just get this body, this money, this lifestyle, then I'll finally be enough. But this mindset makes every achievement fragile, because it's built on the belief that you're not good enough right now. Real transformation comes from self-acceptance. You grow because you want to, not because you think you must in order to be loved. You improve because it excites you, not because you're incomplete without it. When you operate from that place, everything changes. You stop needing validation, you stop fearing rejection, you stop grasping for approval, and women sense it immediately. Here's the paradox. The moment you stop chasing worthiness, you become worthy. The moment you stop seeking her approval, she starts seeking yours. That's the power of true internal peace. It doesn't just make you more attractive, it makes you untouchable. At this point, you may be wondering, if I don't chase, if I don't prove myself, how do I connect with women? The answer is simple, yet rare: authentic connection. Most men sabotage themselves by treating every interaction like a performance. They strategize, calculate, and manipulate instead of being real. But women can sense when you're running a script. They may play along, but they won't feel hooked. Authentic connection means showing up as you are. It means listening instead of waiting to talk. It means being curious about her instead of trying to impress her. It means letting her feel your presence, not your performance. The deepest form of addiction is born when she feels that you see her. Not just her looks, not just her role, but her essence. And you can only give that if you're rooted in your own essence first. That is the irony. When you stop trying to get women and start simply being with women, they become addicted to you. Because authenticity is rare, and anything rare is irresistible. Attraction at its deepest level is about polarity, the dance between masculine and feminine energy. Masculine energy is presence, direction, stability, and strength. Feminine energy is flow, emotion, intuition, and receptivity. When these two meet in balance, sparks fly. The problem? Many modern men have lost touch with their masculine energy. They've become reactive, needy, emotional, and validation-seeking. Meanwhile, many women, to succeed in today's world, have developed masculine traits: assertiveness, independence, control. The polarity collapses, and with it, attraction. But when a woman encounters a man who is fully grounded in his masculine energy, everything shifts. She feels she can finally exhale. She doesn't have to control, plan, or lead. She can relax into her feminine, and that creates a powerful magnetic bond. This isn't about gender roles, it's about energy dynamics, and the man who masters this dynamic becomes unforgettable. Women don't just want him, they crave him, because he awakens a part of them that rarely feels alive. This polarity is like lightning. It strikes suddenly, it's uncontrollable, and it's addictive. And once she feels it, she'll do anything to feel it again. Now let's talk about one of the most underestimated traits: non-reactivity. When you can maintain your emotional state no matter what she says or does, you demonstrate a level of strength that few men possess. Think about it. Most men rise and fall with her attention. If she compliments them, they light up. If she criticizes them, they collapse. If she pulls away, they panic. But the man who doesn't flinch, who remains calm, centered, and unmoved, he becomes a mystery. This non-reactivity communicates abundance. It tells her, I don't need your approval. I don't need you to complete me. I am whole on my own. That mystery makes her lean in harder. She starts working to get a reaction out of you, and every ounce of effort she invests deepens her attachment. Investment creates attachment, and attachment creates addiction. That's why women become obsessed with men who done to bend to their every mood or whim. They can't control him, and that lack of control drives them crazy in the best way possible. By now, you can see the psychology behind female addiction. But how do you apply it in your own life? The first step is auditing your motivations. Ask yourself, why are you working out? Why are you making money? Why are you chasing success? Is it because it genuinely excites you, or because you believe these achievements will finally make you worthy of love? Be brutally honest, because if you're building your life on the need for external approval, you're setting yourself up for the validation trap. Women will sense it, and attraction will collapse. Instead, you must cultivate internal validation. Learn to approve of yourself first. Practice self-acceptance, self-compassion, and self-love. When you validate yourself, you free women from the burden of validating you, and paradoxically, they'll want to give you that validation anyway. Internal validation is freedom. It's the difference between chasing attention and magnetizing it effortlessly. And it's the foundation of every addiction dynamic you've seen. Once you've built internal validation, the next step is to cultivate presence. This is more than just putting your phone away. It's about showing up fully, body and mind, with whoever is in front of you. Practice listening without planning your next response. Practice eye contact without fear. Practice stillness without the urge to fill every silence. This level of presence creates a field of energy that pulls people in. Women feel it instantly. Presence also communicates self-assurance. A man who can be still is a man who isn't a T worried about the past or anxious about the future. He's grounded in the now, and that's magnetic because it allows her to feel grounded too. Presence is rare, and women get addicted to rare experiences. That's why being fully present is more attractive than any flashy car or perfect body. It's not just a skill, it's a superpower. But presence alone isn't enough. You must also embrace authenticity. Most men waste their energy pretending to be what they think women want. They hide their quirks, censor their opinions, and live as a filtered version of themselves. The problem? Women are experts at sensing masks. They might not always call it out, but they feel it. And when they do, they pull back. Authenticity is riskier, but it's irresistible. When you show up as you are, with your truth, your passions, your flaws, you invite real connection. You communicate that you don't need approval to exist. And that is intoxicating. Think about it. Everyone else is playing roles. So when she meets a man who's real, raw, and unapologetically himself, it feels like a breath of fresh air. That's why authenticity isn't just attractive, it's addictive. Because in a world full of copies, the original always stands out. Now we arrive at the foundation of it all, stoic emotional regulation. Every man who creates female addiction has mastered his emotions, not by suppressing them, but by ruling them. Picture this. She tests you with silence, throws a sarcastic remark, or withdraws affection. Most men instantly react, texting desperately, seeking clarity, or exploding in frustration. But the man who smiles calmly, who continues his path without demanding her validation, communicates something irresistible. Strength. Why is this so attractive? Because emotional regulation equals leadership. It signals to her nervous system. This man can handle pressure. He doesn't break under stress. He's safe, he's stable, and he's trustworthy. Women crave this strength, not because they're weak, but because it allows them to surrender control, to feel free in your presence. This is the hidden reason why grounded men become addictive. They embody certainty in a world of chaos, and certainty is intoxicating. The ultimate goal isn't to control women, It's to master yourself. Because here's the paradox. The less you need her validation, the more she craves yours. The less you depend on her attention, the more she fights for it. This is why internal peace is the secret ingredient. A man who has made peace with himself is rare. He doesn't chase validation because he doesn't need it. He doesn't fear rejection because he's already accepted himself. He doesn't cling to relationships because he knows he is complete on his own. This energy is magnetic. Women sense it instantly, and they become curious. They want to understand you, to decode you, to be part of your world. They get addicted, not because you played a trick, but because you represent something they rarely experience. A man who truly knows himself. And once you embody this, you won't just attract women. You'll attract respect, opportunities, and loyalty everywhere you go. But I need to give you a warning. These principles are powerful. With power comes responsibility. If you use this knowledge to manipulate, to harm, or to exploit, you will destroy not only others, but yourself. The goal here isn't to turn women into puppets. It's to turn yourself into the kind of man who creates genuine, authentic, lasting connections. Attraction built on deception will always collapse. But attraction built on authenticity, presence, and inner strength becomes unbreakable. Women are not prizes to be won. They are human beings with their own fears, dreams, and vulnerabilities. The man who truly captivates women isn't the one who exploits their psychology. It is the one who honors it while staying firmly rooted in his own. So take this knowledge, but carry it with respect. Because the highest form of power is not domination, it's creation. And now, the ultimate secret, the rarest quality in the modern world, the trait that makes women not just attracted, but addicted. It's not money. It's not looks. It's not charm. It's self-sufficiency. The man who is emotionally complete on his own, who doesn't need anyone to validate him, who lives authentically according to his own values, that man is magnetic beyond measure, because he's free. And freedom is irresistible. When you stop chasing worthiness, when you stop begging for love, when you stop outsourcing your identity, you become whole. And the irony is, it's only when you no longer need women that women want you most. Because addiction isn't born from desperation. It's born from abundance. And when you live as the man who knows his worth without external proof, you become the rarest thing of all, a man who can't be replaced. Here's the irony most men never see. The moment you stop chasing women, they start chasing you. The moment you stop begging for attention, they give it freely. The moment you stop fearing rejection, you become irresistible. Why? Because when you live from a place of self-sufficiency, you remove the power imbalance. You're no longer a beggar of love, you're a creator of love. You're not asking, am I good enough for her? Instead, you're asking, is she good enough to join the life I've built for myself? This subtle shift flips the dynamic completely. Women can sense when a man knows his worth, and when he does, he becomes rare. And rarity always creates obsession. So the path isn't about chasing more external achievements. It's about cultivating the kind of internal peace, presence, and authenticity that makes you magnetic without effort. That's the true secret behind how women get addicted to men. Now imagine what happens when you embody all of this. You stop obsessing over results, you stop fearing rejection, you stop needing approval, and suddenly, not only women, but everyone treats you differently. Friends respect you more. Strangers admire your presence. Colleagues trust your leadership, because the same qualities that create female addiction, authenticity, groundedness, non-reactivity, inner peace, are universally attractive. This transformation isn't just about dating. It's about becoming the man you've always wanted to be, a man who doesn't just win women's hearts, but who wins his own respect. And once you respect yourself, you unlock a life filled with power, freedom, and connection. The world bends to men who know their worth, and you can be one of them. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop chasing and start attracting? Are you ready to stop living by society's script and start writing your own? Are you ready to become the man who doesn't just turn heads, but who transforms lives, including his own? If this message struck something deep within you, don't let it pass by. This is your sign. This is your moment. The knowledge is here, but only you can decide to embody it. And before we close, I'll give you a reminder from the heart. If this video resonated, subscribe right now and comment below. Not for me, but for you. Because if you felt something here, it means you're ready for more. And the journey only begins once you take the first step. This is your invitation. Accept it. The truth is simple, but it's not easy. The men who make women addicted aren't playing games. They're not using lines. They're not chasing validation. They've built themselves from the inside out, and now it's your turn. Stop living as the man who needs approval. Become the man who radiates it. Stop being the one who begs for love. Become the one who embodies love. Stop waiting for permission to be worthy. You already are. So carry this truth with you. Women don't get addicted to what you have. They get addicted to who you are. And when you become the man who knows his worth, nothing can stop you. If you want to go deeper into this journey, I invite you to watch the next video on screen. Continue the path. Keep growing, because the rarest thing in the world isn't money, status, or fame. It's a man who is truly free. Be that man.